In this mid-2020s era of peak content, most series feel like they're just filling space in an algorithm, safe, predictable, and ultimately forgettable. We are constantly bombarded with sequels and adaptations that feel like they were written by a spreadsheet rather than a human being. But then, every once in a while, a show comes along that doesn't just meet the bar, it obliterates it. These are the shows that we expected to be just okay, but they ended up becoming cultural pillars. We're talking about the series that broke the gaming curse, the spin-offs that rivaled their legendary predecessors, and the weird, high-concept shows that became our newest obsessions. Today, we're diving deep into the top 10 TV shows that defied the odds and completely exceeded our expectations. Let's get into it. Number 10. Arcane. Let's start with the one that made us all look like fools for doubting it. When Riot Games announced a League of Legends animated series, the general consensus was, cool, a 40-minute cinematic to sell skins. Historically, video game adaptations have a notoriously bad track record. So, why would this be any different? Well, Arcane didn't just exceed expectations, it changed the entire medium. Set in the binary worlds of the utopian Piltover and the oppressed underground of Zaun, the story follows sisters Vi and Jinx as they find themselves on opposite sides of a brewing war fueled by Hextech. The reason this show hit so hard is twofold. First, the animation by Fortiche Production. This isn't just good CGI, it's a handcrafted masterpiece where every frame looks like a piece of fine art. But more importantly, it's the writing. It's a Shakespearean tragedy disguised as a fantasy epic. The character of Jinx, formerly just a crazy girl with guns in the game, was given a heartbreaking, nuanced descent into psychosis. By the time the final act of Season 2 wrapped up, Arcane had cemented itself as arguably the greatest video game adaptation ever made. It proved that animation can handle mature, complex themes even better than live action. Number 9. Reacher. Expectations for Reacher were complicated. We'd already had 2 Jack Reacher movies starring Tom Cruise. And while Cruise is a legend, he's not exactly the 250-pound walking brick wall described in Lee Child's novels. Fans wanted the real Reacher, but they weren't sure if a TV budget could pull off that level of physicality. When Amazon cast Alan Ritchson, people were hopeful, but skeptical. Could he actually act? The result was a massive hit that felt like a breath of fresh air. Reacher is unapologetically a throwback show. It follows a smart stoic man who goes to a small town, finds a conspiracy, and punches his way to the truth. Ritchson's performance is surprisingly subtle. He uses his physicality to convey intelligence and a dry, biting wit. It exceeded expectations by proving that you don't always need to subvert expectations to make a great show. You just need to respect the source material and find a lead who can actually fill out a 5XL work shirt. Number 8. Cobra Kai. If you had told me 10 years ago that a Karate Kid sequel series, originally launched on the now-defunct YouTube Red, would become one of the most beloved shows on Netflix, I would have laughed. Cobra Kai had cheap nostalgia cash grab written all over it. Instead, we got a brilliant deconstruction of 80s tropes. By shifting the perspective to the villain, Johnny Lawrence, the show explored the idea that everyone is the hero of their own story. William Zabka's performance as a man stuck in 1984, trying to find redemption by teaching badassery to social outcasts, is both hilarious and deeply moving. It exceeded expectations because it dealt with generational trauma, the pitfalls of toxic masculinity, and the fact that life isn't a 3-act movie. It's soapy, it's cheesy, and the karate choreography is surprisingly legit. It's the rare legacy sequel that actually makes the original movies better. Number 7. Fargo. How do you follow up a Coen Brothers masterpiece? Usually you don't. When Noah Hawley announced a Fargo anthology series, fans of the 1996 film were incredibly protective. The Minnesota Nice vibe felt like a lightning-in-a-bottle moment that simply couldn't be recreated. But Hawley understood the soul of the Coens' work better than anyone. Each season is a new true crime story, blending pitch-black comedy with surreal violence and philosophical musings. Whether it's Lorne Malvo's chaotic evil in Season 1 or the feminist Western thriller that was Season 5, Fargo consistently delivers. It exceeds expectations by being the most cinematic show on television. The cinematography is world-class, and the casting is always inspired from Chris Rock to Juno Temple. It taught us that based on a movie doesn't have to mean lesser than. It can mean an expansion of a universe where the mundane and the macabre dance together in the snow. Number 6. The White Lotus. The White Lotus was originally intended as a limited pandemic-era filler show. A group of wealthy, annoying people go to a resort in Hawaii and complain for 6 episodes. On paper, it sounds exhausting. Why would we want to watch that? Because Mike White is a genius of social satire. The show exceeded expectations by becoming a global obsession, turning the question of who's in the casket into a weekly national pastime. It's a biting critique of privilege, but it's also a deeply human look at loneliness and the transactional nature of our relationships. From Murray Bartlett's iconic breakdown in Season 1 to Jennifer Coolidge's legendary line, the show became a meme machine that actually had something to say. By the time they reached Thailand for Season 3, The White Lotus had evolved from a small dramedy into an era-defining cultural juggernaut. Number 5. Mobland. Now, let's talk about a major surprise from 2025. When the series Mobland was announced for Paramount+, the gangster drama genre felt a bit crowded. But this series, created by Ronan Bennett, exceeded every expectation by leaning into what I call elevated grit. Set in London, it stars Tom Hardy as Harry D'Souza, a street-smart fixer for the Harrigan crime family. What makes this show stand out is the sheer weight of the cast. You have Pierce Brosnan as the ruthless patriarch, Conrad Harrigan, and Helen Mirren as his manipulative, bloodthirsty wife, Maeve. It's Shakespearean in scale, focusing on the slow, agonizing decay of a criminal dynasty. It isn't just about stylish shootouts. It's a character study of a man trying to navigate a world that is rapidly losing its sense of honor. Hardy's performance is a reminder of why he's a titan of the genre. It's brutal, beautiful, and much smarter than your average mob show. Number 4. Severance. Before Severance premiered, Apple TV Plus was still looking for its big hit. We saw the trailers, people getting brain surgery to separate their work and home lives. It looked like a standard Black Mirror episode stretched into a series. Then we watched it. Directed largely by Ben Stiller, Severance created an atmosphere of corporate dread that felt terrifyingly relatable. The innie versus outie dynamic allowed for some of the best acting on TV, particularly from Adam Scott and Britt Lower. It exceeded expectations because it didn't just rely on its gimmick. It explored identity, grief, and the ethics of the modern workplace. The Season 1 finale was legendary, and after the long wait, Season 2 managed to raise the stakes even higher. It turned a high-concept sci-fi premise into a deeply personal emotional thriller that keeps us guessing every week. Number 3. Slow Horses. If James Bond is the fantasy of espionage, Slow Horses is the hangover. The show follows Slough House, a dumping ground for MI5 rejects who have screwed up their careers in spectacular fashion. The show's secret weapon is Gary Oldman as Jackson Lamb. He is arguably the most disgusting, brilliant, and hilarious character on TV. He farts, he insults his staff, he rarely bathes, and yet he's always the smartest person in the room. Slow Horses exceeded expectations by proving that a loser story can be more thrilling than a superhero spy story. It's gritty, it's darkly funny, and the stakes feel real because these characters are actually fallible. As we move through 2026, awaiting the next season, it's clear that this is the best spy show currently on the air, precisely because it rejects the glamour of the genre. Number 2. Better Call Saul. This is the gold standard for exceeding expectations. When a Breaking Bad spin-off about the comic relief lawyer was announced, the world collectively groaned. We said, don't ruin the legacy, but we were so wrong. Better Call Saul didn't just live up to Breaking Bad, it actually surpassed it for many viewers. Peter Gould and Vince Gilligan traded the explosive pacing of Walter White's story for a methodical, tragic character study of Jimmy McGill's transformation. The introduction of Kim Wexler gave the show a moral heart that Breaking Bad never quite had. It exceeded expectations by proving that you can take a caricature and turn him into one of the most complex protagonists in history. It's a masterpiece of visual storytelling and legal drama that stands entirely on its own 2 feet. Number 1. Shogun. Finally, we have the show that redefined the historical epic. Shogun had a lot against it. It was a remake of a legendary 1980s miniseries, and it was primarily in Japanese with subtitles, something mainstream audiences are often hesitant about. But Shogun became a global phenomenon. By centering the Japanese perspective, specifically Lord Toranaga, played by Hiroyuki Sanada, and Lady Mariko, played by Anna Sawai, the show escaped the white savior tropes of the past. The production value is staggering. Every costume and tea ceremony feels weighted with historical gravity. It exceeded expectations by being the first show since Game of Thrones to feel truly huge. It demanded the audience's attention and rewarded them with a story about honor, death, and the eightfold fence of the mind. It remains the absolute gold standard for prestige TV. So, there you have it. 10 shows that we thought we knew, only to find out they were absolute masterpieces. In a world of endless scrolling, these series reminded us why we love television in the first place, the ability to be completely surprised. Which show did you go into with low expectations, only to come out a superfan? Was it one of these, or did I miss a hidden gem like The Bear or Andor? Drop a comment below. I'm always looking for my next binge watch. If you enjoyed this deep dive, do the thing. Hit the like button, subscribe for more breakdowns, and ring that bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.